Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. You're standing at the edge of sleep, your mind drifting between the day's accumulated decisions and tomorrow's uncertain possibilities. Each choice you made today, from the moment you opened your eyes to this very instant of settling into rest, has somehow shaped the trajectory of your existence. The coffee you chose over tea, the conversation you initiated rather than avoided, the extra moment you spent listening to a friend. These decisions, seemingly small and automatic, form an invisible architecture around your life. But what if the power contained within your daily choices extends far beyond what you've ever imagined? At the heart of Tony Robbins' exploration lies a profound recognition that human transformation begins not with grand gestures or external circumstances, but with the awakening of conscious decision-making. This awakening represents more than simple choice selection. It embodies the recognition that between every stimulus and response exists a space where your authentic power resides. Within this space, Robbins suggests, lies the sleeping giant of your potential, waiting to be roused by intentional awareness. The question that emerges from this understanding cuts to the core of modern existence. In an age of endless distractions and automated responses, how do you reclaim the deliberate life that conscious decision-making offers? The distinction Robbins draws between should and must reveals something essential about human motivation and change. When you operate from should, your actions carry the weight of external expectation, societal pressure, or half-hearted obligation. The energy feels borrowed, temporary, easily abandoned when obstacles arise. But when something becomes a must, it transforms into an internal imperative that draws from your deepest values and authentic desires. This shift from external compliance to internal commitment represents a fundamental awakening of personal power. Consider how this distinction plays out in your own life. The goals you've abandoned likely lived in the realm of should, while the changes you've sustained emerged from the territory of must. When maintaining your health becomes not something you should do, but something you must do for the sake of those you love, the quality of your actions transforms. When developing your skills shifts from external pressure to internal calling, your relationship with effort and persistence fundamentally changes. This awakening to your authentic motivations becomes the foundation upon which lasting transformation builds. The practice of state management that Robbins emphasizes offers a particularly relevant insight for contemporary life. Your emotional state acts as both the lens through which you perceive possibilities and the energy source from which you draw action. When you understand that your state is not something that happens to you, but something you can consciously influence, you begin to reclaim agency over your daily experience. This recognition feels especially profound in our current era of emotional overwhelm and reactive living. The techniques of state management extend beyond simple mood regulation toward a deeper understanding of how your physiology, focus, and language patterns create your lived reality. When you deliberately adjust your posture, consciously direct your attention, or carefully choose your internal dialogue, you're not merely managing symptoms, but actively crafting the internal environment from which your decisions emerge. This practice transforms you from a victim of circumstance into an architect of experience, able to access your most resourceful states when they're needed most. The exploration of values that Robbins emphasizes reveals another layer of conscious awakening. Your values function as an internal compass, but only when you've taken the time to identify and prioritize them clearly. Without this clarity, you drift through life making decisions based on momentary impulses, social pressures, or inherited expectations that may not align with your authentic self. The process of awakening your values involves honest self-examination and the courage to acknowledge what truly matters to you, even when it challenges conventional expectations. This values-based living becomes particularly challenging in our modern context, where external validation often overshadows internal alignment. Social media metrics, professional achievements, and material accumulation can easily mask a deeper disconnection from authentic values. The awakening Robbins describes involves the recognition that sustainable fulfillment emerges not from external validation, but from the alignment between your daily actions and your deepest values. This alignment creates an internal coherence that generates both peace and power. The transformation from unconscious reaction to conscious response represents perhaps the most profound awakening available to human beings. In our hyperconnected, fast-paced world, the default mode often involves automatic responses to endless stimuli. You react to notifications, respond to demands, and navigate through days without pausing to consider whether your actions align with your intentions. The giant within remains asleep, operating on autopilot while life passes by unexamined. Yet within this challenge lies unprecedented opportunity. Never before have individuals possessed such access to information, tools, and techniques for conscious development. The question becomes not whether awakening is possible, but whether you're willing to prioritize the daily practices that make it sustainable. This awakening requires the consistent application of conscious choice-making, state management, and values alignment, even when easier alternatives present themselves. The vision creation process that Robbins emphasizes highlights the relationship between present awareness and future possibility. Your vision functions not as a distant fantasy, but as a present moment guide for decision-making. When you've clarified what you're moving toward, each daily choice becomes an opportunity to either align with or move away from that future. This creates a feedback loop where conscious decisions accumulate into meaningful transformation over time. Here's what emerges from this exploration. The giant within awakens not through dramatic revelation, but through the consistent practice of conscious living. Each moment you choose awareness over automaticity, each decision you make from authentic values rather than external pressure, each time you manage your state rather than being managed by it, you strengthen the muscle of intentional living. The transformation happens incrementally, building momentum through daily choices that compound over time. As you rest tonight, consider this question. What would become possible in your life if you approached tomorrow's decisions from a place of full awakening rather than comfortable unconsciousness? The giant within stirs not when conditions are perfect, but when you decide that conscious living has become not something you should pursue, but something you must embrace. Let this recognition settle gently into your awareness as sleep approaches. Your potential for conscious transformation doesn't require dramatic upheaval or perfect circumstances. It awaits your willingness to meet each choice, each moment, each opportunity with the full presence of your awakened attention. In this simple shift from reactive to responsive living, the giant within finds its voice.